finally there is a reason for BMW drivers to start using indicators. This is the BMW X6 M. It's another one of those cars that from the front splitter to the exhaust, with their more than 2-ton body, say, the guy driving me has some balls, because he's obviously got no brain. And then you hear this. What you're hearing is actually enhanced sound, i.e. the engine noise is artificially amplified and fed into the cabin. As far as I know, fake engine sound is always on when you start the car. I was unable to find a setting which would allow me to disable it by default. We'll talk about various driving mode settings in a moment. The BMW X6 is an X5 for people who have too much money and who buy new clothes at their destination because they can't fit everything in the boot. Just 3 daily changes of clothes for a week. Hashtag first world problems. But this is no ordinary BMW X6. This is an X6 M, not an M50i, not an M pack, but a fully fledged M with competition pack to make things ever so more slightly exciting. Under the bonnet here is a 4.4-litre V8 with 2 turbochargers. The engine revs well over 6,000 RPM. 0 to 100 km per hour takes just 3.8 seconds, and from 0 to 200, 13.2 seconds. And you know what? Having driven the Porsche Taycan, these numbers don't get me very excited. I'm serious. Take a fast EV for a spin and you laugh at the mere thought of buying an internal combustion engine performance car. Assuming you visit Germany and you drive the X6 M 200 km per hour on the Autobahn, you'll stop for refueling just as often as you will to recharge the Taycan. Okay, maybe charging the Taycan will take a bit longer, but the X6 has an 83-litre tank, so it will take a while to fill up as well. However, the X6 M does not compete with the Taycan, but with the Cayenne Turbo SE Hybrid Coupe. And here we have something to compare, as both cars have similar performance figures. The difference is that the BMW is some 300 kilograms lighter, but the Cayenne has 200 Nm more torque. And being a hybrid, the Cayenne uses less fuel in the city than the X6 does in extra urban cycle. But never mind the fuel economy figures. If you're buying a V8, you don't care if your car uses 13 or more liters per 100 kilometers during motorway cruising. You're looking for adrenaline, and this car will give it to you in a much more pleasant manner than a direct injection into the heart like they did in Pulp Fiction. The X6M weighs over 2.3 tons with the driver, but it still can push you back into the seat when you use launch control. The first couple of seconds are really impressive. Perhaps not fast enough to smooth out your wrinkles, but you definitely feel your internal organs hit you in the back. Only at higher speed, for example when you want to do a quick overtake maneuver on the motorway, you feel the lack of electric boost you get in the hybrid Cayenne. The X6 steering compared to the Cayenne, it feels artificial. Even in the most aggressive settings, I feel like I'm playing a game console. But 300 kilograms less means the X6 should be better around corners. It is, and it isn't. If you want to take every corner sideways, then the X6M is exactly the car you're looking for. However, if you're looking for precise cornering and endless grip, then the X6M is not the car for you. I don't want to say that the X6M is a bad car. On the contrary, it's been a while since I felt so alive in a BMW. This is a very easy car to hoon about in. In an M3, nothing is happening until you suddenly find yourself in full attack mode. The X6M is so heavy and so big that you have time to predict what it's going to do. Laws of physics still apply, and if you overcook it, you're going to get hurt. But paradoxically, I feel the BMW SUV is a bit more controllable than the BMW's flagship tire liner. The brakes. In the front we get ventilated 395mm discs with 6 piston calipers. In the back it's 385mm discs with single piston calipers. The car brakes, but you can feel it weighs over 2 tons. Depending on the drive mode settings, the brakes can be more or less aggressive. Also, the suspension stiffens in sport mode, so the car doesn't dive or lean as much. Speaking of drive modes and settings, the BMW X6M has 2 buttons on the steering wheel, the M1 and M2. You can assign your favorite settings to them. I have M1 set to full attack mode, all safety systems off, fake sound off as well, and the M2 is everything in sport, but there is cruise control and the fake sound is on. So listen to what it sounds like without the enhancement. And now with the enhancement. And how is the X6M to drive every day? This SUV, or SAC, as BMW likes to call it, is over 2 meters wide and almost 5 meters long. The wheelbase is close to 3 meters and the ground clearance is 21 centimeters. That ground clearance is high, which can be a good or a bad thing. More about that later. The turning radius is less than 6.5 meters. It took me a while to learn to judge the distance, but then I had no problems maneuvering the X6. Partly because BMW has an excellent 360 camera system and very intuitive and fast automatic parking feature. As you drive slowly through the parking lot, the system constantly scans for empty places, and as soon as you press the parking button, it instantly tells you about the spot you just passed. Also, there is a system which remembers the last 50 meters and can back out as you came in, as long as there are no new obstacles on the way. It's enough to reverse from a tight parking spot or a cul-de-sac. While we're on the subject of driver aids, BMW keeps improving its semi-autonomous features. A year or so ago, the lane change assist didn't work in Poland. Now the car changes lanes really well and you see everything on the display, so you understand what is going on. Finally, there is a reason for BMW drivers to start using indicators. Visibility for an SUV or a sports activity coupe is good. In comfort mode, the suspension is relatively comfortable. It's not a couch on wheels, obviously, but you don't get shaken and stirred during your everyday commute. My only problem is the gear selector. BMW M cars always get some weird gear selector, and this is the case here as well. Instead of the usual pull for D, push for R, here you have to push left and front for reverse, and for drive, it's just right. But not for too long, because then you'll get S. I don't like it. Once you get rid of the enhanced engine noise, it's relatively quiet inside the cabin. Interestingly enough, I can hear some noise, wind noise around the front left tire and front left mirror, but not on the right side. Perhaps there is some air passage feeding air into the engine bay. In sport mode, but without the sound enhancement, the engine sounds a bit clinical, but I think I like it more to the fake exhaust. Fuel economy is more than 20 liters per 100 kilometers in the city. Extra urban, I managed to get it down to about 13. BMW promises 17 and 10 respectively. If you like to step on it, the BMW X6 M will suck the entire universe in. Let's talk interior. I got used to the new digital instrument cluster and I like the new operating system 7.0 infotainment. The chilled and heated cup holders are an overkill in my opinion. I drink my beverages quicker than it would take for them to reach the surrounding temperature. The chilling and heating is just to slow down the process. The X6 M has heated and ventilated seats with massage. The driver can control the front passenger seat as well. There are several ambient lighting colors which you can see on the dashboard as well as on the optional Sky Lounge panoramic roof. Also, the tweeter speakers can be lit unless you think this is in poor taste and you can turn it off. In the back, it's like in the X5 minus the headroom. Obviously, the coupe shape means a bit less space in that department. Legroom is fine, but like in the X5, also here I'd expect more. I mean, this is a huge car. And where are my USB ports? The X5 had optional USB-C ports in the backs of the front seats. Here we have optional sports seats, so there's only a 12-volt socket down below the AC controls. At the beginning, I joked that the X6 is a car for people who don't care much for luggage space. And if you compare the X6 boot to the X5 boot, there is 70 liters less space. But that's still 580 liters. I packed for a 4-day filming trip, so it's clothes, computers, camera equipment, and it all fit in no problem. Also, there is underfloor storage and, hey Mercedes, BMW has a gas strut, and you? Just be careful as this space gets really warm, so don't store your groceries down there. Talking about the X6, it's hard to ignore the looks. The mere concept of a coupe SUV was controversial from the start, but that was 12 years ago. Today, coupe SUVs are nothing extraordinary, and other premium car makers join the party. We have the Mercedes-Benz GLE Coupe, the Porsche Cayenne Coupe, and the Audi Q8. I'm not a huge fan of the proportions. BMW left what I think is too long a backside. The ground clearance is high, which may be useful should you want to take your X6 off-roading or, I don't know, curb climbing, but the X6 M doesn't have adjustable height, so the car looks a bit like a stagecoach. And for some reason, BMW doesn't want to make cars with doors that cover the sills. So, with a car this high, I have a problem getting in and out without getting my trousers dirty. This is a car for someone who's at least 185 centimeters tall. Weather like this sill, ugh, I don't like it. The BMW X6 M prices start at €144,000. Some of the more expensive items on the options list in this car include the Bowers & Wilkins audio system for €4,500, the Sky Lounge panoramic roof for €2,800, the M Driver Pack for €2,450 that raises the top speed from 250 to 290 km per hour, night vision for €2,200, carbon engine cover for €1,200, and some driver aids. All this adds up to €173,000. Compare it to the €210,000 Porsche Cayenne Turbo SE Hybrid Coupe I tested a couple of weeks ago, and the X6 M Competition sounds like a bargain. The BMW X6 as such turned out to be a surprisingly practical car. It can haul a lot of luggage. It's user-friendly. It's comfortable even in the M spec. Also, the BMW X6 M Competition lets you do things that your grandchildren will only read about. And how do you like the BMW X6 M Competition? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, subscribe and join me every Friday, or just click one of the links on the screen. Also, I started a new channel about the gear I use to film my shoestring budget car reviews. Well, nothing shoestring about this one. Anyway, check it out, subscribe if you like it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.